ingenious set?
Well, when we picked the season last year, I knew that this was the kind of show that I would really love to direct because, you know, it's kind of wide open in terms of its interpretation, and I usually like to add a lot of movement and ensemble work to the things that I direct. And so I knew that it would be an opportunity that would involve a lot of creativity and ensemble, ensemble creativity. And then I have had kind of my eye on Tom for a couple of years, although he didn't know it. He graduated from here. In '94, and then he can tell you where he's been subsequent to that.
Yeah.
But he also does a lot of work with this company called The Hypocrites in Chicago, and they've done shows at ATL. They've brought shows to ATL, Pirates of Penzance and HMS Pinafore, which I saw both of them. And the whole premise of the work they do with those Gilbert and Sullivans is that it's all about audience interaction. So when I managed to snag Tom to direct this, our early conversations this kind of interactive environment is really his specialty.
Yeah.
So when he said, well, let's do something interactive, I went, oh, well, yeah, of course. and then I didn't know what that would look like, but a lot of my early research was about Lewis Carroll and sort of who he was as a person, and our conversations were really collaborative and just like, oh, what about this and what about that? And all those conversations and all the research kind of led to this crazy, wild, interactive environment that we're sitting in now. And all I'm going to say is that nobody has seen anything like this in the Guignol before. I think it's going to be really, really wild and surprising. And that's almost all I can say because we want people to be
surprised by it.
Surprised.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we looked immediately at some of the John Tenniel illustrations, which are the original drawings, which are gorgeous and lovely. And the stage adaptation that we sort of used as the base is from the 1930s. And so it had this sort of classicism to it, but one of the things that Nancy was really excited about doing was sort of taking what we already know about the story and sort of stripping it away and leaving the stuff that we know that we love, the croquet game, the Met Tea Party, and then finding sort of contemporary and new ways to think about not only the story, but also to let the sort of students bring their abilities and their physicalities into play. So I mean, the Cheshire Cat is a very tumbling kind of cat because the actress that's playing that character has some great physical abilities. And the caterpillar has this absolutely phenomenal sort of song. I don't even know what to call it. It's this sort of vocalization that is still reminiscent of the Disney movie and of the Lewis Carroll story, but is completely unique to this particular production and to the physicality of the three actresses that play the caterpillar. So there's a lot of sort of interesting touches that I think that the students have brought to the rehearsal room and now to the performance.
I mean, specifically when I went into this, I mean, the story and the characters are so lodged in our cultural mind that I avoided looking at any other productions. And I've seen some really great productions. Like there was this Chicago company, Looking Glass Theater, did this Looking Glass Alice a couple years ago, which is, a numbers among the top 4 or 5 things I've ever seen in my life. But I wanted to kind of clear my mind of all the thoughts of Alice that I had and just start fresh from where we were starting with the show. And so I really focused my research on Lewis Carroll and the book and the history of the book. And it just so happens that this year is the 150th anniversary of the publication of the book. So all over the world, there are celebrations of the book going on right now. And only getting into this do I realize now how maniacal and fanatic people are about the books and about their literal worship of Lewis Carroll. So it's been really fun getting to kind of take that ride with these fans of Lewis Carroll at this moment in time, and learn more about him and the man who this wild story came out of his creativity. And I think a lot of what you're going to see is like up there you see Lewis Carroll's apartment or rooms. He was a Don at Oxford, and so Lewis Carroll is very much a part of this production in that hopefully what the audience will see is that all the ideas that come to life on the stage emerge from the mind of Lewis Carroll. We also have 4 little girls cast in the show, little 8-year-old girls, and they're present throughout. In some ways, they are the bridge between Lewis Carroll and the action on the stage. Because when you think of this play, you think of little girls, right? Which, you know, Alice says she's 7.5 exactly. And so, but who's going to play Alice in a college production is a college girl. So I wanted that idea that Alice is a very young girl, and Lewis Carroll's relationship with Alice Liddell, who was his neighbor at Oxford, and who the story is named after, that relationship between them is what's at the heart of this story. And so I wanted that to sort of live here without telling people necessarily why they're here, but they help make everything happen on the stage.
Okay.
And as we started to look at some other visual research, we talked about how there's so much references to games and gaming, and so you know, obviously we have the Queen of Hearts as a primary character in the overall story, and so thinking about not only cards but chessboards and stuff, and the idea is that in the lobby there will be some you know, sort of some neutral games. You know, we're going to have a chessboard on the floor with some checkers so the audience, even before the show, can start to play and have fun in the lobby. And then we're using some of those visual ideas that have sort of morphed and expanded and changed to become our Wonderland. So that's the inspiration for all of this sort of not quite chessboard, but still reminiscent of, and the card shapes and forms in the space are all sort of being sort of extrapolations of those ideas.
And you can see that he's used, you know, text from the book is present in the cards, and it was such a treat to work with Tom and, you know, have these conversations that were fragmented and just, you know, small ideas, big ideas, random thoughts, and then he has, you know, brought to life this beautiful world. So it's been a really a treat to work with him.
Likewise, it's been awesome to get to come home.
I was going to say, how does it feel to be back in Enial?
It is. It's really awesome to be back here. I mean, I did my very first show I ever designed was in the Briggs, and then the following year, my senior year here, I did a show in this space, and the year before, I actually met my wife right here. And so, I mean,
diamonds, right?
pretty much, exactly. You know, I was pretty much standing center stage. She and her sister were walking through the stage, and I met her here, literally here. So, I mean, you know, University of Kentucky Theater is where it really sort of leapt for me. I just sort of happened to find not only, you know, a collegiate family that was fantastic for the time that I was there, but I just happened to find the thing that I seem to be pretty decent at and have been able to make a career out of. So it's been wonderful to be back. And, you know, there are a few of the faculty that are still here. I mean, I graduated many years ago now. So, and that it's awesome to see how much the department has evolved and that they're willing and excited to do different and exciting things. I mean, I can't imagine us doing anything like this back in the day, and to sort of see that not only that the bar has been raised at such a great level by the people that have sort of come in after my group. I mean, the students are incredibly engaged. I'm noticing a far greater sense of diversity in the student population, both ethnically and everything, and it's just so exciting to see that evolution and to get to come back and play around again.
Awesome. So coming back to Alice, we have officially 30 people in the cast, and then 100 audience members participating, right? So we have 130 people in the cast each night in this space. So that should be really exciting for people. Really looking forward to it. 2-week run, tickets on sale now.
And so tickets are selling really fast. Yeah. So I think just, you know, people have seen, you know, our typical audience member may have seen a show in the small environment here, but they won't have had any experience like this, where they're really part of the show.
That's great. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was fun.